Um,
Listen up, presented by Dempsey's and Sportsland alongside Ryan Renner, Phil Becerra. Oh, man. Did you enjoy that week off, Ryan?
yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. And then especially it got capped off by the men and women's bracket reveals yesterday. So coming on today, can't wait to discuss the women's bracket and who UConn's playing and all those good things.
Before we get down into it, again, we want to thank our sponsors and the UConn fan base tuning in every episode, and then everyone else that continues to watch this podcast. Again, we appreciate you. We love you all, and we can't thank you enough for the support, right, Ryan? Hey, stay tuned for the end here, guys. We're going to have a special announcement here about a local basketball team. Ryan, I want to touch on them very quickly and congratulate them on what they accomplished. But Ryan, we'll get down into the, I don't want to say more important news, but of course, more important for you and I, right? Hey, UConn gets matched up and has a very, very big date on Saturday, Ryan, with Mercer. And, you know, it's funny because before you get down into stats, number 15 Mercer, number 2 UConn, Ryan. Let's first of all say Connecticut landed at number 2 seed in the women's championship. In the tournament, that is. But let's just say, Ryan, before we get down into breaking down this matchup, players, stats, anything that you want to say, right? Let's just say how tough it is. And at the end of the day, boy, do you feel like a complete fool. Like you can never, ever forgive yourself again for the rest of your life if you get these picks wrong. Now, especially these picks. And what I'm focusing on is this game, this specific game. You know, to start it out, and then we'll get to you. I took a second and I sat back and I told myself, Phil, it's March Madness. It is March Madness. With that said, Ryan, you don't know. First of all, you don't know. I'd like to go with UConn right off the bat in this ball game. I'd love to. But in no shape or form, or am I don't know about you, but am I, even if it was a 16 team, a 16 seed team, I'm not going to doubt them. I'm just not going to, Ryan. Where I'm getting at before we see what you have to say, where I'm getting at, my first thought that popped into my mind, and a good topic to bring up to you today, what does it do to UConn with this? Actually, it's almost 2 weeks off with no basketball because they won't be playing.
True.
Today is Monday. Today is Monday. So yeah, they play Saturday. And that's the first thing that popped in my mind. I'm like, Phil, before I sit down with Ryan to discuss stats, players, anything in this game preview, in this matchup, what does it do to a team, Ryan, in sports when you have almost 2 weeks off, let alone you're expected to win a ball game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could definitely make a lot of impact on UConn, but I'm still going to confidently say that they will win this game. But like you said, like you were saying, anything can happen in March. There's always a lot of upsets. Not all the number 1 seeds are going to make it to the Final Four. At least I don't think so personally. There's always at least one huge upset every single year, if not multiple. So you just never know what's going to happen. But 15 seed Mercer, that's who they got matched up against in the Bridgeport region. NC State is the number 1 seed in the Bridgeport region. So should both teams advance to the Elite Eight, UConn and NC State, they will play one another. And there is a possible rematch in the championship game against South Carolina. So what a treat that would be for really all women's college basketball fans, especially UConn fans. That rematch, if we would get that in the championship game, that would be an incredible game.
It would be. So let's start off by, before we actually get into this matchup, let's start off by where these teams, because it's been a while since we've been on. Let's start off, Ryan, if you can get your stats and information pulled up for me, like you do a great job every time. Let's start off where these teams left off, right? Because some people have the tendency to forget. So let's start off with let's go with the Mercer Bears, Ryan. They finished number 1 in their conference overall. Then their last game wasn't until, and of course, you can say the same thing for Mercer and all these teams that have had almost 2 weeks off, except for the ones that are going in playing the first 4, right? Mercer Bears, Ryan, they finished 23-6, number 1 overall in their conference, and their last game, March the 6th, they won that one 73-54 over Furman, over number
Furman,
3
right.
Furman.
Yeah.
So with that said, I took a look at the roster, and I mean, man, again, some tall girls on this roster. I don't know. With that said, we see Dorka Juhas, how well she played this year. Is there a certain, when you took a look at this roster for Mercer, a certain player that you say, okay, Phil, they're going to have a lot of trouble guarding them inside the paint, because I think that's where it all starts. UConn shooting the ball very well from 3 range. I'm not too sure Mercer is when I took a look at their stats here. With that said, though, does Mercer have a big body in the paint that Dorka, that possibly, because I don't know of any other player that could guard in the paint like Dorka this year, that could guard that she'll get a high matchup against on Saturday?
Yeah, well, for me, it's the guards on this team, the senior guards. This team, it has a lot of seniors on this team.
Okay.
Senior guard Maria Neal Tizer is the leader in points and assists, and senior guard Shannon Titus leads the Bears in rebounds, steals, and blocks. So they're pretty key factors in this game for me, and have been all season long for Mercer. Rest of the starting lineup consists of a freshman guard, Aaron Haupt, senior forward Ali Thyan, and senior forward Jerron Daughtery. Excuse me if I messed up any of those names, but 4 seniors starting and 2 coming off the bench. So winners of the Southern Conference, like we just mentioned, over Furman. So it's an experienced Mercer team that is looking to pull off what would be a huge upset over UConn, but it seems to me like they're led by those 2 senior guards and 2 senior forwards as well. So a lot of experience. They've been playing alongside each other for 4 years now. So it might be a tough test, especially like we mentioned with UConn having those 2 weeks off.
Yeah, special test for sure. And again, I can't wait to see what kind of matchups or the results rather that these teams, because it seems like we get treated to such special matchups right every season. And I can't wait to see which teams can run the table and which fall off very quickly. With that said, Ryan, defense. This is something that Gino has not faced for his entire career, I would say, as far as the adversity. We talked about it all season long. We saw the defense really shut down in the conference championship, UConn, that is, when we had that episode a week ago. I mean, the defense really shut down. Was it Villanova in that championship game?
Yeah. Shut down the Big East Player of the Year and Maddie Seagrass.
Yeah, that's right. So the Connecticut Huskies women's basketball team, Ryan, I mean, Villanova, they did defeat them once this regular season. But again, as we saw, UConn won last week 70-40. Any emphasis again that you're putting on the defense in this ball game because of Mercer coming out, maybe hot shooting there, or because again, if I'm Mercer head coach, I'm trying to think, and I'm sure they're not the only team. I'm sure all around the country, they're trying to think, what are some ways where you can slow down Connecticut early? Because we talked about big leads, and Gino loves to come out with big leads. Any coach would. I think that we'll be talking about that, whether people get tired of it or not. It's a repetitive statement over and over again with opposing teams facing UConn. How do you come out and at least make it a ball game at halftime? Because if you're facing 15, 20, 30-point deficit even before halftime hits, I don't personally, I understand it's third and fourth quarter left. With that said, Ryan, I'm not too sure how you expect to win ball games like that.
Yeah, and that's why we said earlier that Gino made the comment about having the lead all throughout the game and never letting your opponent back into the game. And that's exactly what they did against Villanova. And it's usually what they do in every single game. But we've seen a couple games this year where they fall behind, or it's a close game throughout those 3 quarters. And it gets to the fourth quarter, and it just seems like they don't have the energy or the fight left in them. But now we're talking about this roster is fully healthy. They're ready to go. They got all this momentum, the win streak. And plus, I think a big game, a big thing in this game is played in Stores, Connecticut. So this is pretty much a home game for UConn. So that's a huge, huge advantage for UConn. So, playing in front of most of their home fans, I would assume, and Connecticut fans. So, yeah, I mean, for Mercer, I think it's going to be really important for them to jump up to a hot start and really get their shots falling. But at the same time, they have to somehow stop, Dorka and Olivia down low, and Kristen Williams, AZ Fudd, and all their guards as well. So it's a really, really tough test for any team, especially Mercer out of the Southern Conference. They had no games against AP top 25 teams this year. So,
ouch.
and then their first one would of course be against UConn. So it's going to be a very, very hard test for the Mercer Bears.
Yeah, but like you mentioned, it's what is it? The teams Mercer earned their appearance in the tournament after defeating Furman. Okay, well, we went over that. And then it's the Bears' fourth SoCon title in 5 years. So congratulations to them on that one. But then went on to see that it's Mercer's second year in a row in the NCAA tournament, and then the seventh time overall. So again, with that said, again, you're facing an historic team in UConn. Hey, but March Madness, Ryan, you can't count anyone out.
No, you can't. And like I said, there's upsets every single year. So it's just anything can happen. And, there's always, 12, 13, 14, 15 seeds. Usually don't see the 16 beat the one. It's only happened one time in men's basketball. So I'm not sure if it's ever happened in women's or not. But there's always a team that makes a deep run into the Elite Eight and the Final Four. So I can't wait until these games start Wednesday, and of course, UConn's on Saturday at 1.
It's so many comments. We appreciate you guys coming through. I don't know if we went over the last two videos, Ryan. I don't think we did. With that said, I think we'll just go over the last one when UConn won the Big East crown. We'll go over some comments there. And then we will head out after that special announcement. I know I wanted to congratulate a local team, touch on that topic very quickly. Ryan, we'll get to Michael Lawson on the last video. Ryan, he goes, with this team, Paige don't have to be Paige because everybody is playing like Paige. The mental healing began for Paige when the first DePaul game that they won. This is a different type of freedom for Paige.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. Like we mentioned, with Paige coming back into the lineup, even though she is coming off the bench, and it's a different role for her, and she's kind of had to adjust to that role. And Gino talked about it a little bit as well. It's new for her, and she's trying to adjust, and I think she's doing a pretty good job at it. Still, when she's out there leading the team, but Ducharme, Williams, and Fudd, all these different players that are stepping up, and everybody's just playing incredible. They're all playing as a team. And you can really you can feel the energy when you watch them. So it's really good to see it. And Paige doesn't have to score 30 points a game.
Well, the show is ran by Austin Anita. So this time we're going to shout out to Austin Anita because, again, we can't appreciate enough all of the hard work he puts in, a lot of the work behind the scenes that you guys don't ever see. Austin Anita, Ryan, says 2 words, looking fresh.
Yeah, well, thank you. I much appreciated. And, we obviously appreciate all that you do for us. So, yeah, thanks.
Let's go on to Mr. Moho Ryzen 87. Realistic expectations. UConn deserves its 2 seed. but they have been shining against crap teams in a crap league. Okay, well, we see how he feels, Ryan. No one in the league is ranked except UC. Number 2 point. According to Cream, no other team in the league is even in the tournament except Nova, who he deems barely in last team and number 68. The 5 teams ranked ahead of us are going to present a fundamentally different and more difficult challenge.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at the bracket now, and I believe there was 4 Big East teams that made it. DePaul and Villanova, I know, made it, and of course, obviously UConn. So there was only 3: DePaul, Villanova, and UConn made it. So, yeah, I mean, like, tell us how you really feel, right, about the Big East and and UConn's opponents, but. I mean, we've seen this year that UConn did lose to Villanova. DePaul gave him a tough challenge, and Marquette gave him a game too. So, yeah, I mean, 3 teams ended up making, and of course, one of them was UConn. But Villanova, much deserved their spot with Maddie Seagrass, and I'm actually really excited to watch their matchup because she just played it incredible all season long. And that's why she got Big East Player of the Year. So and DePaul as well. They deserve their spot as well.
This one was pretty cool. I like this one a lot. Secured certification. This person goes, so we in London got up at 3 a.m. to check you guys out.
Yeah. I mean, it's just amazing to see, from all around the world that our video reaches all these different people. So that I love London, and shout out to you guys, because that's pretty incredible that getting up that early to watch us. So it's much appreciated.
That's right. Blessings. Much love all the way from the US to London. Wow. Let's go over to here's Jamie again. Jamie Centrella. Thank you. Many thank yous for keeping up with us. So, Ryan, she goes, Villanova killed us on the boards that time. They beat us. Avina is my favorite. She could have drafted last year, but stayed for unfinished business. The injuries helped the individuals in this team become a team. Dorka and Edwards have a nice connection. AZ can make an impact even without throw-up threes. Tonight, 1 rebound, 2 assists, and 3 steals, and hit 4 for 5 and 1 for 2 on free throws for 9 points, as can all the guards. Paige will be back to Paige in due time. We live in an instant world, and injuries to these athletes are a big deal. These games today are fast and physical. Too many turnovers, though. Well, I know we talked about the turnovers. I can't wait to see what Ryan says on this. We talk about the turnovers all year. Again, it's something they definitely have to eliminate if they make it to Sweet 16. If they prove me wrong, the Final Four for sure. Teams like South Carolina, Ryan, Baylor, even Baylor. Talk about, we hit on them a couple times during the season. I mean, you can't, even against these medium teams, or the smaller schools, man. I mean, you can't have turnovers, man. I see it at the high school level, and it just kills the opposing team. So she is definitely right on that. And then I'm glad she brought up Paige, because it reminded me, I wanted to ask you earlier when we started this episode today. We saw Paige slowly progress as she came back from her injury, Ryan, but now, hey, I mean, facing these top tier teams, is it something that you have to start thinking like, oh my gosh, like if we're starting to fall way behind early when we get deeper into the tournament, and we only had Paige playing not that many minutes a game toward the end of the regular season, is it something that you just all of a sudden you force Paige? You're like, hey, go out there and just play your heart out. I mean, this is it.
Yeah, I mean, that's something I was gonna say, because it's gonna be interesting to see if Paige gets more minutes, because with that 2-week break, I'm interested to see if Gino does put her in the starting lineup, or if she will continue to come off the bench and get about 15 minutes a game. So definitely interested to see how he distributes the minutes, and what the starting lineup will be for Saturday. And also as well, I think not only unfinished business for Avina Westbrook, but unfinished business for Olivia Nelson-Ododa and Kristen Williams, all seniors. And of course, if Dorka, not sure if she's staying or going. But of course, her first year here as well. But last ride for Adota Williams and Westbrook. So I'm sure everybody's all in for this season, especially for them. And like I said before, you can really tell that they're all playing for each other. So it's really great to see.
Let's end it right here. Cap it off with John Brubaker. And again, John, we appreciate you so much. Ryan, he goes, you two are doing a great job. No, I don't. I know he's talking about you, Ryan. You're doing great. I don't know about me doing a great job, but Ryan's doing a great job. I was at the game tonight. He says the crowd is definitely feeling the rising from the ashes team and the depth, interchangeability, and passion are so impressive. This is becoming one of my favorite UConn Lady Husky teams. Their entire destiny lies ahead. Yeah, I mean, that last sentence there, their entire destiny lies ahead. Oh, man, I don't know if he could say that one better, Ryan, because, fans tend to forget how I use the word, I'm going to take criticism for this, luck. How much luck does it really take? You could be one of the greatest teams like UConn, like South Carolina ever, but again, Ryan, the little pieces to the puzzle, how much has to go right for hardly anything to go wrong? That sounds like basic life lesson, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you have to be at the right place at the right time. You have to have this happen. You have to have this happen. It's so, and so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, will Paige get this opportunity again? She only has 2 years left. Now, understand your first impression. Oh, yeah, man, it's UConn. What do you expect? Hey, you don't know who's going down with that next injury. Who's the next team in the conference that could take over? Who's the next player out of high school that could not sign with UConn, the next star?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, even we talk about, well, let's kind of limit Paige. And I agree with that 100%. I'm like, because she has a professional career lying ahead of her. But at the same time, is this year possibly the last year that UConn will get this close to winning it all with Paige Beckers?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we won't know until her, next year and then her senior year. But I think everybody's initial reaction will be, yeah, they'll be back in it. But like you were saying, you just never know. And then looking at the bracket, the Sweet 16, assuming all of the top seeds would advance. UConn plays Indiana, very tough Indiana team. We're ranked pretty high, 10 to 15 all season long in the AP poll. And then, of course, like I mentioned, the Elite Eight, NC State, a really tough team. Final Four, Stanford, really, really tough team again. They were ranked in the top 5 pretty much for the whole entire season. And then the championship game, assuming South Carolina makes it, that's who they play against. So, or even Baylor. So there's so many good teams, that make it to Elite Eight, Final Four, and even the Sweet 16. It gets pretty tough, but yeah, I mean, I love all the energy from all the UConn players. You can really tell that they just love playing with each other. And the bench is always going crazy and motivating each other. So I don't know if this is the last ride for Paige Beckers, but it very well could be. It's definitely a hot topic to debate. But I think for Williams and Westbrook and Adota, I think they're just gonna go all out for their senior years. So it's gonna be really fun to watch UConn.
And then last but not least, I wanted to shout out to Ryan. It's only like 25, 30 minutes, not even 30 minutes away north from where we are. Shout out to Mount St. Mary's women's basketball. Ryan, they're in March Madness again, actually, because I think they made it last year when they won their conference, back-to-back conference titles, I believe. But with that said, I want to shout out to everybody. I did feel the love, man. Yesterday, so many people I got to catch up with and say hello. So shout out to everybody. I was actually up there in Emmitsburg yesterday and attended that ball game. That was fun. That was fun because actually the Frederick native, Kendall Brissy, big shout out to her because she's actually arguably the biggest name on this roster, and this she's the reason why they made it this far. But I mean, to overcome, look what they overcame the Mount St. Mary's Mountaineers. They lost. If you look at the schedule, Ryan, they lost to Maryland. They lost to it looks like a conference. No, I don't know if that was a conference rival there. I don't see the name of that team, but they lost the next game after Maryland. They lost to Howard. They lost to Clemson. They lost to Loyola, Maryland. And they lost to Ohio State. And somehow they kept it all together, Ryan. And they found a way to make the first four. They'll be facing Longwood, both 16 teams on Thursday at 7 o'clock. But I just want to shout out to Mount St. Mary's, man. It's always special. You know, we cover UConn, and I know Maryland is our home state, but it's always special to see, you know, when you have a school that's less than 30 minutes away from you and then they make the big dance. Yeah, you got to feel hyped for them.
Yeah, congratulations to them for sure. Northeast Conference champions, like you said, 2 years in a row. So senior Kendall Breesy and senior Michaela Harrison as well, leaders of this team. And then, of course, if they beat Longwood, they have to play NC State. So that definitely be a pretty tough matchup for the Mountaineers. But anything can happen. Like we said, all episode long, anything can happen. I can't wait to watch him play.
It's Phil and Rye on Listen Up, Rye. We'll try to come back with we'll try to bring y'all one more, possibly two more episodes before Saturday. But Ryan, this is it. Now it's really exciting. The NCAA tournament is upon us. The second round, that is Saturday, March 19th, 1 o'clock, Mercer and Connecticut. We can't wait. We all know that you can't wait. Listen up with Phil and Rye.